Welcome to the Dark Side of BEASTwriter family. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be breaking down and doing a watch party for the first time as I make my Raiders debut here in the DOB as far as covering the watch party. So how I like to do business is I'll be watching the game in real time as you guys are watching at home. PSA, I'm not going to be live streaming the game. That's illegal, so I'm not going to be able to do that. So if you guys want to go to and switch to somewhere else where you can find that, by all means, do what you will. But I'm not going to do that here because that's illegal. It's unethical. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and as we're watching the game, I'm going to give you a rundown, a preview. This is my 4th and goal segment, and we're going to really take a deep dive into exactly what to expect in this game from a positional standpoint, from a schematic standpoint, and obviously as I continue to watch film, as I formulate my analysis, because that's how I like to do business. And it really gives me a broader understanding of not just knowing exactly the silver and black, but the other 31 other NFL teams. And so in order for me to better gauge exactly how to formulate and talk about a player or talk about a certain team, I really got to do the due diligence, right? And that's why when draft rolls around, there's really no guesswork involved when I run my mock drafts. I mean, you guys have been following me for what, 5-6 years. You guys know how I like to do business. Beat Mel Kiper, not trying to name drop, but it is what it is. Like everything's up there for the Beast receipts to check out. So again, I take this very seriously. It's my job. And as far as like getting the information that you guys need, because I know a lot of you guys play fantasy football, right? Like, let's just not get it twisted. Everybody plays fantasy football. And so again, we're going to talk about fantasy football. We're going to talk about prop bets. We're going to talk about all that in between. So let's go ahead and talk about that. But again, before we get started, I just want to say a huge mahalo to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel. If you have yet subscribed to my channel, please do so in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast in real time. Huge announcement for us anyways. I mean, we're small time relative to everyone else, but in scaling in retrospect, just for us, I mean, we're scaling here in the DOB, and we just hit 4,000 subscribers yesterday. So thank you to each and every one of you for going ahead and doing that. Some of you guys have also been hitting me up as far as my DOB swag. You guys know I had BWF swag and Niner fan swag when I was with the Niners. And so, yes, we'll be launching DOB swag for all of you guys to enjoy and purchase as well. But that will be a little later on. And the reason I say that is because I'm really picky with my vendors. What I mean by that is if you guys caught my Bay Area rooted swag, you guys would know I'm all about quality over quantity. So I'm not going to skip on, oh, I can get you this price for this deal if it's not good quality. Like, I want the best quality. It's everything that we design and make is designed and made by yours truly in the US. And so I really want to work with these small and pop shops because I know how hard the grind is. And me being a small business owner myself, I can truly understand the grind. And so if you guys know anyone that does quality work, and what I mean by quality work, I mean the best quality, shoot them my way, drop your comments, and I will go ahead and reach out to those people, because at the end of the day, it's like, that's what I'm about. I'm all about quality over quantity. That's what we try to provide here in the DOB. And same thing with formulating my analysis on my live streams is when I talk about something, you guys know where it's coming from. It's coming from a good place. It's coming from watching film. It's coming from a lot of different parameters. So again, thank you everyone for allowing us to hit 4,000 subscribers. I mean, that's legit, right? Jamie, thank you so much for the love. I'm just going to shoot down these comments right now and shoot these up. So Kevin Lurker, so if you guys just watched the Pittsburgh Steelers-Bengals game right now, right before the Raiders kickoff, missed field goal, Minkah Fitzpatrick, roll tide roll, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when I was covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, I said this was a steal by the freaking Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a single high safety. He can play the slot. So we're going to talk a lot of these. Again, I have a grading system. So a lot of these free safeties nowadays, you have to be able to line up in the slot, just like an interchangeable strong safety. Like, gone are the days of the Steve Atwaters. He keeps saying that. But like, I mean, I'm just trying to hit different generations here. You know, you go back from Steve Atwater, then you bring up Leroy Butler from the Green Bay Packers, and then you can talk about Tim McDonald and everything in between. And I guess today you would kind of compare Jamal Adams in that field, right? He's not really a rangy safety, but he's a good box safety. So how can you put these guys in the best position to make plays? We're going to go ahead and talk about that. But again, I'm watching the AFC North game right now, and it's a brutal slugfest. There's a reason why the over-under is always, I shouldn't say always, but it's typically under 45.5 points, right? It's like 42.5, 43.5, 44. You wonder why, because these it's a divisional game, number one, and opponents know each other. So it's like there's no guesswork involved with fighting a divisional opponent. And Josh McDaniels said it, right? Coach McDaniels went on record saying, you know, these divisional games are like double the points. So double the pleasure, double the fun. No matter how you slice it, bro, these games matter more than most because they're within the division. If you're going to try to make a playoffs, obviously you have to win the division first. More times than not. Yeah, we can talk about the wild card teams, but you want to bank on making the wild card or win the division and then getting a higher seed. So I don't know. Just some food for thought there. We got Egalitarian 207. Mahalo for the love. Thank you for joining us here in the BEASTwriter family, DOB. Nothing but love here. All right. So Skylar Weiss from LinkedIn. Yes. How you doing, Skylar? Happy to have you here in the DOB. And yes, we're on LinkedIn. We're on TikTok. We're on, what else are we on? Every social, Snapchat. No, I'm joking. I deleted my Snapchat. We're on every other social media platform you can think of. Facebook, Facebook Live, Twitter. No more Periscope on Twitter, by the way. So I think it says Twitter. I don't know what it is. Twitter Live or whatever. Twitter. So a lot of cool things going on here. Obviously here on YouTube, my favorite platform. As we get the niftiest here. Thank you so much here on YouTube and the DOB family. If you haven't subscribed, spread all, like I said, man, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, but then also retweet this or post this on your social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, because that's going to do me a huge solid because odds are if you like it, someone else you know will like it too. And if they don't, then they don't. But at the end of the day, if like I'm saying, like the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, odds are, and as far as my niche is concerned and my target market is the people that are actually engaging here and liking the content and posting all these positive feedback, whether it be from Twitter, from YouTube, from Facebook, all that in between, whether it's asking the questions that you guys took a poll on that and all my social media platforms, and overwhelming 78% of you guys liked the questions that were being asked. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to harp on that a little bit more because, you know, asking questions that kind of take a deep dive into into the mind of the player or the mind of the coach without obviously giving too much. I mean, we're not talking about trade secrets here, but just the surface stuff, right? Like, I think that's beneficial for you guys because at the end of the day, I'm your eyes and ears. So without, you know, divulging into anything that they would give away, which they wouldn't do anyways, because they're not dumb enough to do that, I'm going to go ahead and provide that for you because at the end of the day, if from the outsider's perspective coming in, I would want that. Like, I would want to know Coach's thoughts on Austin Eckler. I would want to know Coach Graham's thoughts on Divine Diablo switching from safety to a linebacker because you're going to have those discussions. Hey, look, is this guy a conversion guy? And I talked to Divine Diablo about it and what competitive advantage that provided him because when you watch the safety position and you see things from a different lens, right, on that third level, you really got to understand the schematics of it as far as fundamentals and techniques are concerned. All right, so we can take scheme out of it. Let's just talk about fundamentals. All right, everybody knows fundamentals and technique. I mean, that's kind of common sense, right? So if you're a single high safety and you're playing as the MOF or the middle of the field player, you're going to see it from a different lens because one, you're on the back end, so you see the entire field. It's kind of like watching All Coaches 22 film from that eagle's eye vantage point, but you're just seeing it from the back end. And so now when you kind of roam up closer to the line of scrimmage, now you understand what's behind you because you've seen so many formations, you've seen so many personnel groupings, so you kind of understand exactly where the ball is being thrown because at the end of the day, if you're a free safety, odds are you are what? And I said this on other live streams here in the DOB. If you're the free safety, and I talked about it with Coach Simmons about it, you are odds are the what? The quarterback of the secondary. So if you're going to be the quarterback of the secondary, and now you're moving up to that inside linebacker position, outside linebacker position, no matter how you cut it based on the formation that's being called, odds are you're going to be smart enough to know where to defend the curl hook or the curl flat because you're not going to get what's called fuga, which is F up the gray area in my grading system because, again, you don't want to be stuck by the eye candy, right? Because if you're stuck by the eye candy with that running back coming on a flat and that wide receiver is running right behind you in your zone, now you're caught in between the 2-by-1 kind of a situation. The rules of engagement apply. We're going to talk about that with Coach Graham, and you have to have a high football IQ to understand exactly what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, we don't even know what the rules of engagement are. I'm just going to tell you exactly every team runs and some type of hybrid of a role of engagement. And so you see it with the college football game. I ran college football film too. Like, this is what I do. So again, you can't just simply say, oh, Devontae Adams is going against J.C. Jackson, which he isn't. He's going to be ruled out for today's game with recovering from ankle surgery. And if you guys know J.C. Jackson, what he brings to the table in my grading system, top 5 cornerback in my grading system, signed a 5-year, $82.5 million contract with $16.5 million APY, making him the 9th highest paid boundary cornerback in the entire NFL. But you take him out of the equation, how much of a drop off in production from a schematic standpoint does that provide when you have a guy like Michael Davis who rolls in? And Michael Davis has starting experience, mind you. So he's not someone that's coming in fresh, right? He's not a rookie who's inexperienced. He has some experience. So when you're looking at it from the Chargers perspective, okay, we don't have J.C. Jackson who can basically mirror opposing teams' wide receivers, because we all seen him do it against Stephon Diggs last year. How do I know that? Because I ran the film. So what are the odds that they're going to be using Michael Davis in a mirror role? They're not going to use Michael Davis. That's not going to happen. So then from the Raiders standpoint, you see where I'm going with this. Okay, you have Asante Samuel Jr. on one side, who Coach McDaniels already admitted having wide receiver skill set, can high point the football, has a big catching radius, is very twitchy, has quick twitch muscle fibers, yada, yada, yada. How does that help them on the back end as far as rotating coverage over? Do they do a lot of false rotations? And again, the Bengals do it as we're watching the Bengals and Steelers do it, because I graded the Steelers too, and the Bengals with Jesse Bates. We can talk about, like I said, we can talk about Chidobe Awuzie. We can talk about Mike Hill. We can talk about every single secondary in the entire NFL. I run a lot of film. So when they do a lot of false rotations too, under Keith Butler last year, who's not the DC this year, but you can see a lot of the rotations from post to pre to post snap play. And so the thing that you really have to be keyed in on is, okay, the first thing, if you're a quarterback, is they're going to be looking at that free safety or strong safety and be like, okay, so he's lined up in the middle of the field, that strong safety is lining up in the box. Are they going to keep him in the box, or is that going to rotate over? And then aside from that, you have different rules of engagement. You can run a cover 6. You can run a cover 5. You can run what's called a cover 7, right? You can run a cover 6, which is kind of like a quarters coverage with a cover 2. But then there's also rules of engagement based on if it's trips formation to the left or trips formation to the right, or if it's a 3x2 set. Do you want a triangle over a box coverage on the flip side, because you always want a one-man advantage based on the hash to the numbers on both sides? If it's a evened personnel grouping, right? These are things that are going and happening before the ball is snapped. So that's why when you see Kyle Shanahan, when you watch the Chicago Bears game today, like you did today, you saw a little window dressing. You saw a lot of people going in motion. No team does it more than the San Francisco 49ers. So again, how do I know this? I run film. Like, I watch film. I don't just go to the box score and be like, oh, this guy had 4 sacks, so he must be doing good. Like, no, dude. But then again, you look at Alex Highsmith, who I said on this live stream had nothing to do with the silver and black, but I said this guy is going to be a player. Why? Because they drafted this guy in the 3rd round. He's going to be in for Bud Dupree. He played at a really high level in my grading system, even for a rookie. Once Bud Dupree went out for a torn ACL, I said, watch, this guy's going to be the truth. And he is. The guy is a monster off the edge. And he talked about it last year about his get-off. So we're going to talk about get-off when it comes to Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. A lot of things we can talk about. I'm just saying, there's a lot of things I love talking football, if you guys haven't noticed by now. All right, so let's talk about this. M2W. What does M2W stand for? I'm going to give you an educated lesson on exactly what that means here in the DOB. All right, I just don't like typing things out. M2W stands for matchup to watch. All right, so every watch party at every away game, because I'm doing this from my home right now, right? I'm not at, I wish I was at SoFi Stadium, but I'm not. I'm doing this from my home, watching this from Vegas, just like you guys are too. So M2W is matchup to watch. All right, matchup to watch. This is the matchup to watch. Down in the trenches, the Raiders offensive line versus the Chargers defensive front 7. All right. And so when we talk about that, you really got to understand that dynamics of exactly what's being pulled here. Like, why would I say that? Well, obviously the Raiders offensive line is in shambles. And I make sure I got the ticker up. So yeah, it's up there. All right. So the key to this game is, how are they going to stop Sebastian Joseph Day? He's one of the most underrated players on the interior from a 2-gap scheme system technique standpoint. coming from the LA Rams, right? They brought a little familiar faces. Brandon Staley did. Good job by you. From the LA Rams, mainly on that defensive front seven. Troy Reader, another guy, right? And then you have Kenneth Murray, who you drafted, right, out of Oklahoma. And then you have guys like Austin Johnson, who's a 3-4 guy coming out, I believe it was the Tennessee Titans, right? And there's a reason why I thought that he was going to be drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. Why? Because coming out of Penn State, he was a 2-gap space eater. Holla at your boy, all right? So they're running a 2-gap scheme, just like the Raiders are running a 2-gap scheme from their base 3-4 defense, all right? So how are the Raiders going to counter? Well, they're going to do that with counters. They're going to do that with traps. They're going to pull that guard and seal off the unblocked edge defender to kind of create spacing laterally and vertically. Now, the question remains to be seen, can they win the leverage game? Because at the end of the day, I see it in practice. I see the coaches coaching this up in practice. It's not rocket scientists who know what they're trying to do. And yes, you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel. You're going to see a lot of Darren Waller, a lot of Foster Moreau, right? You're going to see these guys chipping using the tight ends to be chipped, the edge rushers off the line of scrimmage. I mean, this is something that's common sense. We see it with Nick Bosa. We see it with guys with Danielle Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings. If you can neutralize one pass rusher with a tight end or a wide receiver lined up in the slot, a lot of times the slot wide receiver will freaking seal off and blindside an edge rusher, taking his legs out of him. I'm telling you, it happens. If you watch the film, you know what I'm talking about. But every week. But at the end of the day, if you have 2 pass rushers, now it's like, okay, well, we can't max protect everyone because at the end of the day, we have to have wide receivers get open and create numbers on the second and third levels, right? You have to apply pressure on them too. We can't just be sitting back like 3 flies up and then hoping that everything is all good and dandy, because it's not. It's not all good and dandy. So again, when it comes to Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack in my grading system last year, it's going to pose a problem. Why? In my grading system, Joey Bosa, and I said this on other live streams already, but for those who don't know, you're going up against right tackle Jermaine Illuminor and Colton Miller. When you have that, they have to keep them at bay from third and long situations, right? How do you do that? How do you stop the Mack attack and Bosa attack? Like that's just, it's going to be difficult. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it's going to be easy, because it's going to be difficult. It's not easy. And people who say it's easy, it's not. So how are you going to stop that? Well, if you look at the 2 matchups last year with Joey Bosa, he racked up 2 strip sacks and had 4 quarterback pressures, resulting in a loss and down my grading system. Then you double down on that and you see what Khalil Mack did with the Chicago Bears. He had a perfect grade in my grading system where he racked up 3 quarterback pressures, 1 quarterback hit, and he also had a sack of his own. So again, that's a whole body of work to pull from. So the game's about to start. Here we go. And I'm just going to let you guys know as the game unfolds exactly what I see and how I see this one playing out. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The Nifty says, insightful, you speak all talks as well. Coach, player, fan, that perspective helps everybody. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I try to do my best to provide you guys the best information that I can as possible. So, and it's going to provide you a different feel from Trent Green and Kevin Harlan. Like, those guys are great. They're on CBS. I wish I was on CBS. I'm not. I'm here on YouTube. But at the end of the day, I want to give you guys a different perspective, exactly what I see as the game unfolds, because as you guys know, I cover the Raiders as a beat writer. I also cover other film too. And here's a guy. Here's Austin Eckler. Speaking of Austin Eckler, I asked Coach McDaniels, how are you going to stop Austin Eckler? He admitted, he's like, man, he's going to be hard to contain, basically, right? He's slippery. That's the word I use. You use the exact same word. He's slippery. He's good at making people miss. It's going to be a point of emphasis for them. So here we go. There's Max Crosby, and that was a nice play by Jonathan Abram, who struggles in coverage, but at the end of the day, he did a nice play there, and that's a really good play by Jonathan Abram, a guy who the team declined his 5th-year option as a 2019 first-round pick, drafted number 27 overall. Mistake me if I'm wrong, but I believe Josh Jacobs was drafted number 24. I think 3 picks later, Jonathan Abram was drafted 27. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I apologize if I get it wrong, but this is definitely a home game for the LA Raiders. I say LA Raiders. You see what I did there? Las Vegas Raiders, because they're in LA. So it's LA territory. All right, here we go. So they just got the first down. And again, if you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, I'm going to get them mixed up now. I'm going to call the LA Raiders. By the way, I am dyslexic, so forgive me if I go back and forth. I am dyslexic. No, legit dyslexic. So I apologize in advance if I get things mixed up. If I call the LA Raiders the LA Raiders, if I call the LA Chargers the San Diego Chargers, it's just all one of those things. All right. So anyways, back to business. I'll do my best to get it right. Just FYI. Okay. So when we talk about the Chargers offensive line, they have a few players that in my estimation, oh, here we go. See, you got to bring him down, Max Crosby, on initial contact. But that was a good play by Max Crosby because at the end of the day, he was blocked up and still made the play. So, yes, he's seeing his patterns like, my bad, my bad, my bad. And again, you have to tackle Austin Eckler on initial contact to avoid extra yards after contact. He has strong contact balance. He's slippery. He can slip block. Not slip blocks, excuse me. That's defense. But he can slip tacklers, make forced tacklers miss. The guy's the truth, right? Austin Eckler. All right, so here we go. All right, you got to make that tackle. Nice tackle in open space by Jayon Brown. That's one of the things I like about Jayon Brown coming on the Tennessee Titans is his ability to tackle in open space. He's coming from the 34 Tennessee Titans. All right, so Jayon Brown was really standing out in camp, standing out in preseason. Although it's a limited sample size to pull from, I liked what I saw from Jayon Brown. Now, when it comes to obvious 4-2-5 nickel alignment or a 3-3-5 nickel alignment, you're going to see a lot of Denzel Perryman out because, let's be honest, that's not his strong suit. But then you don't expect it to be a strong suit. He's a 2-down thumper and I like what he does there. All right, so here we go. It's a run up the middle. And again, you got to tackle Austin Eckler in open space. More importantly than that, this is a two-gap scheme, right? So this is a two-gap scheme where you have to really find the football. Again, it's not just a matter of two-gapping. You have to read and react and then also make plays when the ball comes your side. So stack and shed is something they've been working on in OTAs and practice and training camp, and it's every day. They work on this every day. So I'm eager to see what's being coached up in practice if it translates onto the football field for some of these players. And then there you see Nate Hobbs coming off the edge and making a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. That was a nice play by him, and Coach Graham used him as an extra box defender coming from the left side. And really what happened there is you saw Max Crosby taking on multiple blockers, and that allowed a free release from Nate Hobbs to just scream off the edge there and make the nice play behind the line of scrimmage. So Nate Hobbs, again, he can work the slot, he can work the boundary, and you can see a lot of different formations here. Here's a different formation. You have Nate Hobbs lined up in the slot right now. And then you have, well, this is interesting. I'm interested to see how this one goes. Hold on, let me watch this play real fast. All right, it looks like it's, oh. Whoa. Are you kidding me? Nice play. Wow. What's up? G says, Steelers try going still tied. It's still tied with the Steelers. My gosh, that's crazy, bro. That is crazy. All right, anyways. Look at all right, so that was just a slight push off on Trayvon Merrick. On Trayvon Merrick. It wasn't by Trayvon Merrick. And you saw him just run that shallow dig, and that created a separation at the top of his drop. Nice play by Denzel Perryman there. So North Cal ACC says, can a kicker make a field goal from the Bengals or Steelers so I can watch the game? We're watching it right here in Vegas because they switched it off. So luckily for me, I live in Vegas now, so I'm watching it right now. So I can kind of do this, and obviously Palmer right there with the reception, but it's 2nd and 12 right now. Let me just go over again what the Chargers offensive line is doing, right? So right now, they're just going up-tempo, right? The Chargers offense is running a lot of up-tempo, trying to tire out this 3-4 base defense. And I said the Raiders should be doing the exact same thing on the opposite side because, again, you're going to be tiring out and out-conditioning the defensive linemen. They're bigger. I wouldn't say fatter, but bigger is the word that I guess the word you would use. But some guys are fat. It is what it is. But fat could be a good thing, especially down in the trenches, right? So that being said, here we come. Nice play by Jonathan Abram. Jonathan Abram has now been targeted twice and no completions when it comes to targeting Jonathan Abram. Good job. And Brandon Staley is happy about this. I don't know why. Maybe because he's like, oh, man, you missed it. That was just a drop by Mike Williams, it appears. And nice job, Bilal Nichols, to pull up. So Bilal Nichols, if he would have laid out Justin Herbert, that would have been a roughing the passer on number 91 from the Chicago Bears. No, he pulled up. And that's what you got to do today by today's NFL rules. All right, so here's the field goal attempt, a 43-yard attempt. And it is up and it's good. So the Chargers go up 3-0 with 9:03 left in the first quarter. I'm going to go ahead and take a break. Or should I take a break? Maybe not. I don't know. You guys have questions for me? Shoot them my way. We're doing this live stream here on YouTube. All right, so let me just go ahead and talk about, again, we're just going to talk about some of the things that are going on because some of you guys are watching the game. All right, so in order for the Raiders who are about to come on offense, they're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, right? A lot of one back, two tight end sets. You're going to see the tight end chipping, Bosa, Mack, off the line of scrimmage. The most important thing that I want to look for is the tackle and stunts. That was a problem in preseason. I posted up the game film on that. Exactly. Lester Cotton got beat a couple times, and obviously Alex Leatherwood got beat a couple times. But you see these tackle and stunts where, again, you have to be mindful that on a delayed stunt like that, anything can be possible. So you got to really understand and watch film to understand exactly what the other team is trying to do before they do it. And so, again, how do you stop a good pass rushing duo like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, where you're going to have to establish the run, right? You're going to have to get Josh Jacobs going. You're going to have to run this team down their throats and just freaking, even if it's 2-3 yards, at the end of the day, you're going to wear them down. And I talked about this with Britton Brown, the rookie 7th round pick, right? I said, hey, Britton, now, like, what makes you so good at, XYZ? He talked about his angry running style. And he says, from being 5 years old, growing up, and if you haven't watched those interviews, you guys can watch that later, or you guys can hop off now, watch it, and then return here. But he talked about an angry running style, right? Being able to absorb contact throughout the duration of all 4 quarters, right? Because now you're tiring out the defense, and they're not going to want to tackle you later on in the game because they're tired, man. They can't wrap up and squeeze as hard as they would in the first or second half, as opposed to the second half, excuse me. So again, how you're going to do this, we're going to find out. But here's Derek Carr. They're coming out in empty set formation, 3-by-2 set. And that was just a nice play. That was just a nice choice route, or what's called a China route, by Davante Adams. And they teach this in practice. And so the Patriots are notorious for doing this, notorious in a good way. But I don't know if that's the proper word to use, but it's in a good way. So it's a China route. So you're attacking the curl hook defenders or curl flat defenders leverage. So based on the pre and post snap, you can go into the snap having the opportunity to either run a speed out or a shallow dig, or you can run a double move. So there's different things that you can run here. Julian Edelman did it for so many years, and so did Wes Welker when he was under Coach McDaniels. So here you saw just a simple choice route, and you see that in practice. I mean, this is nothing new. All right, during individual work. And now there's a sack. All right, so there's a sack. What I just tell you, and that was Derwin James, who switched his number from 33 to 3, got the sack. He just screamed off the edge. And again, you can line up Derwin James anywhere. You can line him up coming from slot as a blitzer. And again, in my grading system, let's talk about Derwin James since he just picked up that sack. Derwin James, all right, he graded at an all-pro level in my grading system. Pro Bowl, he graded at 7.2. Or no, he graded at 7.4 out of 10. That's all-pro level in my grading system. But anyways, when you talk about the games that he played against them last year, right, he graded at 7.75 out of a 10. So what are you seeing that compares to today? Well, I'm going to break it down. Here's Derek Carr. Oh, all right. So he tried to throw to the boundary, and Asante Samuel Jr. had perfect coverage, number 26, who Coach McDaniel said was very twitchy. And he admitted that, Asante Samuel Jr. was clocked in at the inside. Now he's moving to the outside because you have Bryce Callahan coming from the Denver Broncos, who now slides in to that slot nickelback role. And then with the K'Wan Williams now going to the Denver Broncos from the San Francisco 49ers, it's a game of musical chairs. Here we go. Round and round we go. But that was a throw by Derek Carr trying to throw to Davante Adams in stride. Unfortunately, it was about 3 to 4 yards ahead of him, and he was unable to catch up to that ball. All right, so here's Derek Carr feeling the pressure, scrambles right, and he finds Davante Adams for a nice gain. This is a combination that you can see that's coming alive. We saw it in training camp. We saw it in preseason. Now we're seeing it today. Now, what you're going to see from Derek Carr is you're going to see him not take his eyes off of Davante Adams. And Davante Adams just found that was a blown coverage there. If I was to say a blown coverage, I think the single high safety kind of just rotated or something happened where I don't know what happened. I got to watch the full coach's film on that game. On that specific play, but that was an easy pickings for Davante Adams finding the soft spot in that zone coverage. All right, here's Josh Jacobs, and nice. Didn't get much, but he got something, right? You got positive yards there, but no, getting back to it. Derwin James can line up in a variety of different roles, and that's what makes Derwin James so special, kind of like Budda Baker. That's what makes Budda Baker so special. That's what makes some of these other safeties who can kind of mirror match downfield, lining up with a tight end, or even covering a running back out of the flat, or even covering a wide receiver in that nickelback role. So you see it with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with the Philadelphia Eagles being used as an extra block defender, run defender, I should say, block defender. Well, it could be a block defender if you're trying to seal off a wall. But anyways, all right, so here's Jakob Johnson. Jakob, the fullback. Didn't get much coming out of the flat. Asante Samuel Jr. just made a nice open field tackle. Asante Samuel Jr., what did I tell you guys when the Raiders traded with the San Francisco 49ers? I said, man, that was a bad move because the Niners at 43 should have stuck and got drafted Asante Samuel Jr. in real time as we're doing this live stream, just like we're doing now. And people were, oh, no, man, Aaron Banks is going to be good. Aaron Banks is going to be good. I'm like, okay, Aaron Banks is going to be good. He's going to be a healthy scratch. Watch. All right. What's up, G says, I had to log on to NFL Plus to get Raiders game in the Bay Area. CBS and Red Zone are locked in Steelers and Bengals. Thank you so much, What's up, G, for pointing that out. What's up, G is my guy. He found me here on YouTube, which is excellent, and now we became good friends. All right, so there is Mac Hollins, everyone. The team captain, Mac Hollins. Look at all the Raider fans in there. Like, is this amazing or what? I don't know. I think that's cool. And you see it here. That was just a nice move by Mac Hollins to just kind of find that soft spot in that zone coverage, coming across the middle. And again, that a very underrated catch, because when you go across the middle, there is a price to pay. There is a price to pay, and he didn't have alligator arms on that play. So that shows that he's tough. If you're going to the game film, be like, does he have alligator arms like a Brandon Lloyd coming across the middle who kind of ducks? You guys remember that game where he kind of ducked going across the middle? I like Brandon Lloyd, but I'm just saying, like, 4th round pick, fighting the Illini. Come on, you can't have alligator arms, Brandon Lloyd. He was a good one, though. Brandon Lloyd was good. But he kind of ducked. You all remember that play? Kind of ducked. Anyways, all right. So let's go ahead and talk about some things here. There's about 4:20 left in the first quarter. Chargers are up 3-0. But the Raiders are threatening inside the red zone. And red zone efficiency is going to be key. Here's Derek Carr. Again, they're throwing it out of bounds. And that was a smart play by him, because at the end of the day, there was nothing. There's a time clock in the quarterback's head to get the ball off, whether it be throwing it out of bounds like he just did there, or not. You know, you live to play another down, right? And you wonder why, oh, man, well, this guy was open. It's like, well, that's easy for us to say because we're watching it on TV. When you're on the field with those big linemen coming at you, and you have a time clock in your head, you don't know where that pressure is coming from. You just know it's coming. So smart play by Derek Carr there. I like that. That's a smart, high football IQ play by Derek Carr to live to play another down. It's 3rd and 6. Nice. There's Devontae just running a quick slant. You cannot stop Devontae. You cannot stop Devontae. That DC to D. What did I tell you about the DC DA connection on Twitter? One of my tweets. I just said, man, everyone's asking, what's your take on DC to DA? I was like, bro, it's the truth. Other people, oh no, like other people are not saying. I was like, dude, it's the truth. Watch. How many times has that connection been targeted here with success? That was a quick slant. And again, all right, so right here and down inside the red zone, if I had to take a guess, and no, this is just a guess. I think this is going to go. Oh, here we go. It's a halfback toss to the left, and Josh Jacobs just lost his footing trying to cut back against the grain. And again, you saw trips formation to the left, and you left Devontae Adams singled up on the right, which could mean a fade, but then also you're pulling away that safety, because what you're doing is you're dedicating that safety to a position, right? So again, if you're the single high safety and you know DA's matched up one-on-one inside the red zone, you're going to have to cheat over, or you have to play it honest, because again, the strong side of the formation's to the right, and the weak side of the formation's to the left, but it's a strong side simply because it's not neutralized with DA matched up one-on-one. Here's Hunter Renfrow. Oh, here is a DA. Oh, nice play by Michael Davis. I talked about it in my tweets, how there's going to be no to drop off in production from a schematic standpoint, because this is what they do. You see Michael Davis right there. He tried to jam with the left, winning the outside leverage game, and that was just great play by him, winning that one-on-one battle. You saw him jam, missed the jam with the left, but then came back with the right once DA committed, going and attacking that outside shoulder to the boundary. All right, so here we go. Now it's DC inside the red zone. I think this is going to go to Hunter Renfrow. I would attack Hunter Renfrow, but again, you have that safety creeping up, so he might get help inside, which he does. I knew it. Oh, did you drop that, Darren Waller? All right, go kick the points. Take the points. The analytics will tell you take the points. Don't go for it. It's not feasible. That was just a bad, I would say that's a bad throw by Derek Carr. You're throwing behind Darren Waller. It's a tough catch to make. And while people will say that will go down as a drop for Darren Waller, look, it's hard when you're running full speed and having to pull back your momentum because now you're opening up the shoulder when exactly all your momentum was pushing you in one direction. So I would put the error on Derek Carr on that one simply because he didn't throw to the receiver in stride. In this case, it's tight end Darren Waller. And when you throw on the back shoulder like that, especially with a guy who's trying to attack the leverage point that he's trying to attack, that is really an inaccurate throw by Derek Carr. But I do like what he did. I'm driving, pushing the ball downfield, finding the soft spots in zone coverage, not forcing anything, allowing them to go ahead and pick up 3 points. So again, it's a tie ball game, 3-3 with 2:29 left in the first quarter. And we will be back after these messages. I am joking. This is not TV. This is live. And we are doing it live here because there is no messages here in the YouTube live stream. That'd be crazy, huh? If I said, we'll be back in a few messages and I click and there's a sponsor. By the way, if you want to sponsor me, by all means, sponsor me. I am down. So if it be South Point Casino, you want to sponsor, I'm down. Just down the street from me anyways. But no, it's that'd be funny though, huh? If I went to commercial, I'm like, oh, we'll be back in commercial break. And it's like, nah, dude, there's no commercials for you, bro. Ain't no one watching your stuff, bro. All right, so the Chargers are going to come back on offense. I'm just want to give you a rundown on what's going on. So Rashawn Slater was a first-round pick last year. He played at a really high level, got my vote for PFWA all-rookie team. And then you have Matt Filer. Again, when I covered the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2019 to 2021, you really saw Matt Filer before he moved on, obviously, to the LA Chargers. But he can play tackle, right? He played right tackle with Alejandro Villanueva on the left side. And then he kicked inside, right? He kicked inside to guard, right? So you can cut with Chukwuma Okorafor. How do I know that? Well, I study film. And so you see Matt Filer, he was one of the more underrated signings. And I knew the Steelers weren't going to re-sign him. I knew they were going to retool that offensive line with a guy like Kendrick Green, Dan Moore, and so forth. So you knew the transition that was going to take place because you can't re-sign everyone. Obviously, you had to give big contract extensions to Cam Hayward, TJ Watt. These other guys are coming up. Minka Fitzpatrick, another one. So when you have players who are the tops at their position, or arguably the tops at their position, they're going to want guaranteed money up front. They're not going to want to backload that contract on that second deal, or even the third deal. When Cam Hayward came out of the draft at the Ohio State University, I believe it was in 2010. Cam, if you're watching, which you're not because you're playing, but it's one of those things where you have to pick and choose your spots as a GM. It's very difficult sometimes. All right, here's Max Crosby with the pressure. Oh, all right. That was a nice play. And you just saw flexing of the guns, which I like. All right. So Rock Ya-Sin with the nice tackle. Rock Ya-Sin's built like a Denzel Perryman's built. Rock Ya-Sin is built. But no, hey, Denzel Perryman takes the cake. That guy's built. I told him in the locker room, I was like, man, Denzel, how do I get like you? And he laughed. He said, I get like you. I was like, man, I don't know, man. Let's exchange workouts. He's like, I'm down. No, that guy's big. And all joking aside, that guy's huge. Denzel Perryman's huge. Like Divine Diablo, another big guy. Divine Diablo's big. All right, did the Steelers win this game finally, or is it over? Okay, good. It's over. 23-20. Again, there's a reason why the over-under in Vegas here is probably like, I don't know what it was, 44, 44, 45, 46. But yeah, that's just kind of how it goes here. Jeff says Steelers won on field goal. Yeah. All right, and you guys haven't heard the news. TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt, might have had a torn pec. And and I talked about this last year. Actually, I talked about it a couple of years ago on the live stream here in the DOB. I talked about how torn pecs injuries usually happen with defensive front seven players. And that's because there's a lot of push-pull movements, mainly a lot of push movements. I mean, when you have that much force coming at you, or you have to kind of protect yourself from that force, that's a lot of push movement. And so I didn't see the play, but, TJ Watt torn his pec. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Stephon Tuitt also torn his pec. So, I mean, you look at Steelers defensive front seven players that have torn pecs. I believe Stephon Tuitt torn his pec in 2019. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's playing at an all-pro level. Yeah, I remember. He's playing at an all-pro level in my grading system, and then he tore his pec. All right, and so, all right, so the Chargers just down the ball inside the 5-yard line. That was a smart play by Hunter Renfrow, because what you're being taught is once the ball goes inside the 10-yard line, you just let it go. You don't try to field that ball. You just let it go, because and you'll live and die with a good punt. Like, that's what I always been taught. Like, people say, oh, it's the 20-yard line. Like, no, it's the 10-yard line. Like, who would say, oh, let's let the ball go at the 20-yard line? It's like, what? Like, literally, I'm not going to. If you're watching college football and now you watch a lot of games, you would know the announcer, oh, yeah, you're supposed to let it bounce once you hit the 20-yard line. I'm like, I was sitting there with my girlfriend. I'm like, no, that's not true. She's like, is that true? I was like, no, that's not true. 20-yard line? What are we doing? What are we doing? All I got to say is, what are we doing? Max Raider 2 says, Beast was right about 9. I told you guys. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Max Raider 2. I told you what I tell you guys about Bilal Nichols. The guy is the truth. In my grading system, because I have a grading system, and it's not the end-all, be-all, but at the end of the day, it's how I format my analysis. Look, if you're going to be reporting on a team or covering a team, I like to do – I mean, like I said, it's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. But I like to do the legwork, because if I'm going to talk about a player, like, for instance, Darren Waller getting 12 to 14 million APY. He got, 13.25 million APY on the money, right? So you have to know the dynamics of the other 31 other NFL teams. You really do. In my case, I can't talk for anyone else. I'm just talking specifically for me. So no one is harder on me than me. And so the iron sharpens iron really comes down to myself. Like, I want to be sharper. Like, I hate getting it wrong. Hate's a strong word, but I hate getting it wrong. I'm very competitive. I hate to lose more than I love to win. And that's just how I am. And my family members know it. I talked about it earlier. Look, my analysis, there's a reason why you guys follow me, is for my analysis, spot on predictions, and so forth. And it's like, if that's called tooting your own horn, by all means, whatever. But we all do it. Like, if you get it right, you get it right. But I also call myself out if I get it wrong. And I love doing that too, because, again, no one is harder on myself. So if I get it wrong, I call myself out. There's no one need to call me out. I call myself out. And the way I look at it is this: if I'm going to follow someone, they better be right. And this is not gambling or anything like that. I'm not talking about 50, 60% right. You better get it right, like 80, 90% right. Like, when you say stuff or when you predict stuff, like Hunter Renfrow's contract. That's another one I got hit on right on the nail, right? As far as APY, the contract and everything. So it's from Renfrow to Waller to all these contract extensions that are coming up. You really got to do the legwork. As far as I'm concerned with myself, I'm just talking about myself and can't talk to anyone else, but that's just how I like to do business. Because at the end of the day, it's like, there's a reason why you guys follow me, right? If I just said, oh, throw out a BS number, like, oh yeah, Darren Waller deserves $22 million, or he deserves $9 million. And it's like, well, what are you basing that numbers off of? What's the analytics that are telling you versus evaluation versus evaluation of the process? So anyways, when it comes down to Bilal Nichols, same thing. I told you guys Bilal Nichols is going to be the truth. Top 15 to 20 interior defensive linemen from the two-gap scheme. And here, as far as a run defender is concerned, not the pass rush, as a run defender. And we see it here. We saw it. We see it. So it's funny. It's really interesting for me that GM Ryan Poles, the new GM of the Chicago Bears, if you guys don't know who Ryan Poles is, but which, by the way, before that was Ryan Pace. Before that was Ryan Sakamoto. I'm joking. I don't know why they pick a lot of Ryans. Anyways, I just thought of that. But anyways, Ryan Poles is the new GM. I thought he would let Akeem Hicks walk, which he did, but I thought he would retain Bilal Nichols. And once they didn't, I was like, man, that's going to be a fine and a diamond in the rough from somebody. A 5th-round pick out of Delaware, one of 5 Delaware products that's currently in the NFL. The other one playing on the other side of the football with Nasir Adderley, Nas, as they call him here down in LA. And that's another guy who I liked. I liked his ball skills coming out. And so you want to talk more football players coming out of Delaware, which is not very many. I mean, you can look at the quarterback position, look at Joe Flacco, right? Who just started today, right? I believe they lost, got outscored by the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know. I got to look at that game. Let me look at that. Keep me up to 24-9. All right, 24-9. Joe Flacco had 307 yards, though. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Passer rating of 74.6. That's not bad. I think I don't know. Did Joe Flacco even have a prop bet? I don't know. Lamar Jackson, he did not cover as far as his passing yards and rushing yards are concerned. I think the total was like 289 or something. He came in at 213 passing and 17 rushing. So I don't know what that is, but that doesn't add up to 289 or whatever that freaking, I don't know what the exact number is. It varies from sportsbook, but let's just say 280. I don't think that definitely doesn't add up to 280. So Max Rader says, I hope Zeus gets some touch. Me too. I like Zeus. Again, when I interviewed Zeus, the first question I asked him in that interview process, when I asked him, hey, man, like, can you describe your game in 1 word? And he actually put a lot of thought into it. He says, dominant, man. He's like, you have a dominant game. He'd say, man, at the end. I said, man. But he said dominant. And dominant was the nature of his game. And I like that. And I was expecting, because I called it violent. So that's how I would describe his game, as violent. But when he said dominant, that was just like, man, this guy's a dog, man. This guy's going to eat. He's hungry. Feed that beast, dude. That guy is going to be the truth. I knew it coming out of Georgia. I graded him coming out of Georgia because obviously I grade the SEC covering Hot Mike, right? So I graded the entire SEC, Louisiana State University, also known as LSU. We can talk about the Raging Cajun. We can talk about Kevin Dotson coming out, being the second Raging Cajun to be drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers since Ike Charlton. I believe that his name was Ike Charlton. Now that I think about it, I don't think it's Ike Charlton. I mean, look, if it's Ike Charlton, then I'm getting. It's not Ike Charlton, is it? Anyways, Ike something. I forgot his name. It's not Ike Charlton. There is an Ike Charlton, but it's not him, because Ike Charlton played for Virginia Tech. Gosh, who was the guy from the Raging Cajun? Now you got me thinking. It's not Ike Hilliard. That's a wide receiver for the New York Giants. But anyways. Find that out for me. Do some legwork. No, Zeus is going to go off, though. I think Zeus is going to have a good game with a little bit of touches. So here, the Raiders are back on offense. We're going to see how this one goes. And they just run the football. Again, you have to establish the run, right? But then again, you see a lot of, again, here we go with Foster Moreau in there. And I believe Darren Waller was in there as well. So I said, what did I say going into this preview? A lot of 12 personnel. And we're going to see that because, again, that's how you're going to establish the run. You're going to need to give these offensive linemen help because Bosa and Mack are hard to stop. It's just, you can't expect Colton Miller and Jermaine Illuminor to handle themselves on an island and be successful at it. No, it's just not, it's not logical. That's just my take on that. All right, and so they're just stuffing the run. Defensive front seven is doing their job. The offensive linemen up front are getting zero push up front. They can't move Austin Johnson off their grass. The Penn State product, the Nittany Lion. Look at him, two-gap spacey. He just stacks and sheds John Simpson at the point of attack. And he ID'd the ball carrier, really made that play on the back end there. So Austin Johnson, I talked about him in earlier Aloha kickoff videos. You guys know what I'm talking about. Had that 74, 76-yard fumble return for a touchdown at Penn State, and they showed that highlight. I don't know why the heck they keep showing that highlight against San Diego State. Maybe because it's the highlight of his career, and it should be because that was a hell of a run. But go Aztecs. I remember this because I covered Austin Johnson coming out, like when I was doing my scouting on players and which players the Niners would be drafting and or who I thought they would be drafting. I don't really know who they're going to be drafting, but it's just like, you know, it's an educated guess. All this is educated guessing, but the educated guess turns out to be reality more times than not. All right, so we have a tie ball game here in the AFC West. A home game for Las Vegas Raiders, tied up, notched up at 3 apiece. And here we are. Max Raider says, why not run outside? Well, a lot of reasons. One, in order to run outside, you have to have the scheme for it. And that'll be like more of a zone blocking scheme where you can kind of leverage offensive linemen and really attacking the edges, if you will, right? You move teams laterally. You see that with Kyle Shanahan, right? Kyle Shanahan likes to go ahead and do that. Sean McVay likes to go ahead and do that. They like to stretch teams horizontally as well as instead of vertically, right? And then attack that short to intermediate passing game. But at the end of the day, and dictate the leverage, play action pass, and naked bootlegs, and then you're attacking people's leverages, and now you're kind of attacking people's discipline, because now not only are you seeing what you're supposed to be taught, but then again, are you mindful to know that, hey, look, they could be just screwing me over because they want me to say one thing and then I have to do another. So again, you have to have the scheme in order to run those outside zone runs. Unfortunately, I don't think John Simpson is an outside zone type of a dude. He's a mauler. And I asked John Simpson, right? So going back to the player coaches interviews, I asked him, I said, hey man, you're a power-based run guy. Like, is that fair assessment of your game? And he says, yeah, man, that's what I do. I'm a power-based run guy. And so again, you can't expect John Simpson, and because that's not his forte. That's like asking me if I was a basketball player when I played back in high school. That's like asking me to play center. Like, nah, dude, I can't center. Oh, okay, that's just playing out of position. That's like asking Alec Leatherwood to play offensive tackle when she'd be kicked in the guard. But layman terms, let's say, okay, so basketball, right? So let's say we're a half-court offense. Well, that doesn't suit me. Why? Because I'm short. I need to use my speed, and I need to use my quickness and my range, right? My range to cover ground, my open space, my ability to shoot the ball, because I like shooting threes a lot. I've been known to shoot threes. So once I reach half court, from there I can kind of dictate how I want to play my game. Well, if it's a half-court offense and everything's slowed down, I'm not going to be able to do anything because guys are 6'7", 6'10", not going to be able to get the ball up because I'm vertically challenged. Number one, I might win the leverage game, but it doesn't work. So again, you have to have the scheme in order to play and call these outside zone runs. Now you can kind of do a lot of window shopping. When you talk about outside zones or outside runs, you can do a lot of jet sweeps. You can run a lot of orbit motions. So you can kind of do that. But at the end of the day, it's a power-based run scheme, and it's mono-a-mono, combo, reach blocks, and hitting that second level between the tackles. Now, you can somewhat run an outside zone run if you're running it wouldn't be considered outside zone, but like they run counters, right? Counters, and if you can run a counter with a pulling guard or a pulling offensive tackle on an unblocked edge defender on the back side, as far as the play side is concerned, now you can kind of see and have that running back use that vision. Because if you guys know, in the power-based run scheme, you have to have the vision to see that hole. The hole is not dictated from the leverage that's being schemed up as it is the zone blocking scheme. So here we go with Keenan Allen. Hope that explains some information as to why they don't run outside zone or why they don't run outside, is because again, on the flip side of that, the defensive coordinators on the Los Angeles Chargers and the positional coaches, they get paid too, right? They get paid just like the Raiders get paid. So, it's very difficult. And again, these are divisional games, so you're not going to hide anyone's deficiencies or strengths because they know each other. They play twice a year. So they know each other like the back of their hand. All right. So here we go. There's Justin Herbert. Oh my goodness. Big game by Keenan Allen. And I know my girl Steph, who, by the way, if you ever go to Sacramento or if you live in Elk Grove, check out my girl Steph's donut shop, Baker's Donuts. She's good friends with Keenan Allen. And I know she's happy right now. She's probably watching this. Steph, if you're watching, your boy Keenan Allen just went off. Bay Area rooted Keenan Allen. We had to talk about that. I said, Keenan Allen's going to have a good game. Which is kind of like, okay, cool story, bro. Of course he's going to. No, not really. Not against the Raiders. If you look at the analytics will tell you that he would probably, I don't know what the prop bet is, but if I had to take a guess off the top of my head, I think it'd be in that 65 to 72 yards in this game. I don't know what the prop bet is. I don't even know if there is a prop bet for Keenan Allen today on total receiving yards, but I would think it'd be that in 67 to 72 yards because they really limit him as far as like receiving yards are concerned the last few games. All right, so oh man, what a hit by Max Crosby. Wow. Did you see that hit? This is hilarious. Yeah, this is like one of those things where it's like you really have to know exactly just dang, that's a nice tackle. That was a nice tackle by Nate Hobbs to undercut and then Crosby over the top. All right, so here we go. This looks like a cover 2. It is a cover 2. They're playing sound leverage. They're taking away the middle of the field, but then you can't let Justin Herbert run. Nice tackle. Oh, you're going to call a freaking flag on that? That is such a bad call. Do not throw that flag. Are you kidding me? They slid at the same time. This is where it's stupid. This is where it's dumb. This is dumb. This is dumb. Horrible. All right, we got some comments rolling in here. Let me get to some of you guys' comments. We got Jamie in there. He says the game. BK from the Bay says, "What up, Ryan? What's going on? How you doing?" Egalitarian says, "Raider Nation for life." The niftiest. Here we go. Let's get it. All right, so here we are. And again, people are wondering if you guys, for those who are wondering and hitting me up how you can donate to me, there is a super chat or super sticker money icon. So if you guys want to support the channel and wish to do so, you guys can go ahead and do so. There's a money icon there for you guys to go ahead and send me a super chat or a super sticker, and it'd be greatly appreciated if you did. And if not, all good. Just give it a thumbs up if you guys are watching the video and share it. There's no greater appreciation that I can get than you guys doing that. So it really helps me. It helps the channel grow, and it really gets the exposure out there. So give it a thumbs up as you're watching this. It takes 5 seconds. Joking, it takes like 1 second. And it really does me a solid. Also engaging with me. If you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them as this game unfolds. But this is a stupid play. How can you call a penalty on that? Are you serious right now? Like, they're sliding at the same time. This is the exact same thing happened in the Chicago Bears game with the San Francisco 49ers, where Dre Greenlaw was tagged. And here we go, a touchdown. This is ridiculous. All right, so touchdown Chargers. Let me just go ahead and see what happened on this instant replay. I believe it was a play action pass. My eyes were down, but I had to look up. And we're just going to see how this unfolded here. All right, that's a play action pass. And basically, it looks like he sold out on the run, leaving the pass open. All right, here's the extra point. Second quarter, 9:34 left. Chargers lead 9-3 with the extra point attempt here, and it is 10-3 Chargers. Horvath, I have no idea who this guy is, scores the touchdown. I know for fantasy football owners, if you have Horvath on your team, I guarantee no one has Horvath on their team, on their fantasy football team. If you have Horvath on your team, prove it, take a screenshot, post it on your Twitter. I will be more than happy to give you guys a giveaway for having Horvath on your roster. Now people are going to make fake ones and post it. I'm joking. Obviously, it's a joke. I don't know who the heck Horvath is. He was even in my scouting report when I was kind of watching film. Horvath, obviously, fullback, but you guys know what I'm talking about. He wasn't actually in the game plan. But then again, That's why you play the game, and that's why, again, you can't hide anything because everybody knows what's going on. So you have to sprinkle in some wrinkles. And Horvath was one of those wrinkles in the game plan, I guess, when it comes to situational football down inside the red zone. So there you go. There you go. All right. So again, what we have going on here. Max Reyes says BS. Yeah, it is. It is. He says Renfro time. Yeah, Renfro time. I think I think it's time for Renfro to go off. I think it's about that time that Renfro needs to go off. I don't know about you guys, but Renfro needs to go off. I think he needs to go off. Now watch him not go off. No, I think Renfro is going to have a good game. Of course, he's going up against Bryce Callahan lined up in the slot. And again, I talked to Coach about it, but Bryce Callahan's one of those guys, coming from the slot. Now we can talk about Derwin James on the back end. But everyone knows about Derwin James. Let's be honest. It's kind of like an obvious one. It's kind of like everyone talking about Devontae. It's kind of obvious one. So I like the slot matchup between Bryce Callahan and Hunter Renfrow. That's an X factor matchup to watch today, and it's still early. So again, I'm really looking forward to that matchup. I think Hunter Renfrow is going to win that matchup. I think Hunter Renfrow is way better than Bryce Callahan because that's not taking away from Bryce Callahan. He's a top 5 slot cornerback in the NFL. If you guys watch film, you guys know what I'm talking about. But for me, anyways, I just think Hunter Renfrow can win that matchup because Hunter Renfrow is a tier 1 slot wide receiver as opposed to a tier 2 slot cornerback. So if you guys want to talk about fancy terms, there you have it. And Hunter Renfrow has not been targeted so far in this game, which is kind of interesting to me because you have Devontae Adams targeted 6 times, Matt Collins targeted once, Jakob Johnson's been targeted, Darren Waller's been targeted 1 time in the red zone on that back shoulder catch that was technically dropped, but it wasn't his fault. So let's get Hunter Renfrow involved. I think it's time for us to see some Hunter on this drive. He should see at least 2. If I am Coach McDaniels, I'm going to not force feed him the ball because obviously they're probably playing a cover 3 with 4 underneath defenders a lot of the times that I've seen so far. But then again, it's like not really because as you guys know, they run a lot of 2 high safety looks, but then pre to post snap, it changes the rules of engagement because you can see that strong safety dropping back down inside the box. So talked about this on earlier live streams and everything's playing out the way I saw it. So here we go. Here we go. All right. So Chargers 10, Raiders 3, 9:34. And again, they're showing it's going to be it looks like a cover 3. You're going to see that free safety rotate to the top as a middle of the field. Here we go. And that's what you saw here. And again, they're not giving you anything with 4 underneath defenders. So I can kind of see from that vantage point exactly the pre-snap. Now again, they could have switched it up. It could have easily been a cover 1 if they played that press coverage a little bit higher and tighter on the boundary cornerback. So there's Derwin James coming up. Again, he was playing up. He wasn't playing out, which means he's down inside the box as a curl flat defender, taking away that speed out by Devontae Adams. All right. Here we go. It's 2nd and 6. Devontae Adams being targeted more times than not. He's the number 1 wide receiver, and deservedly so. All right, here we go. There's Darren Waller just attacked the seams and attacked Michael Davis. Michael Davis gave up the inside leverage there, and Darren Waller attacked it. And we're going to see an instant replay on that, but it looks like he attacked the inside right there. Yeah, so if you look, Michael Davis is already pre-snap leveraged outside. He just goes ahead and runs a quick slant. Bam. Or what's considered, I guess you consider that a quick slant or a skinny post. I would consider that more of a skinny post because it was more like of a 10 to 12-yard route. But here we go. 1st and 10. Nice play by Darren Waller. And again, not much in the run game. Not much in the run game, guys. Dino says, how about Carr missing Waller for the touchdown? Yep, discussed that. Yep. I agree with you there. I agree with you there 110%. I think it's obvious that he kind of underthrew him. And that was just a nice play by Asante Samuel Jr. Look at these guys going after it. I like it. I like these guys going after it. Asante Samuel Jr. getting nitty and gritty with Devontae Adams. And hey, this is what it's about, man. This is iron sharpens iron. Divisional game. The best man win. Oh, there's a wheel route. Oh, Amir Abdullah. That was a nice play. That was a nice matchup 1-on-1. Amir Abdullah has been killing thus far, and that was on Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray is not known to be good in coverage. I think that's why he's getting some love right now coming off the field, because they know that he's not very good in coverage. I don't think he's very good in coverage coming out of Oklahoma. But again, that was a nice play by Josh McDaniels to kind of set up Amir Abdullah 1-on-1. Because if I had to do it all over again, I would attack Kenneth Murray again with Amir Abdullah. All right. Derek Carr and their Jermaine Illuminor going down. All right. That's a sack. So big play James gets him again. And it looks like there's going to be a holding penalty. I'm not sure. I don't know. All right. John Simpson has been having tough times. He got called for a holding penalty, which is undisciplined football. Coach McDaniels is not going to like that. Let me just see what happens here. Oh, he just got bull rushed back. Wow. He just got bull rushed back. It's not easy. This is not easy. This is not easy. I couldn't do it. It's not easy. This is not easy. But at the end of the day, it's 10-3. All right, so here we go. It is 10-3, Chargers leading. And they get the ball back. And of course, we have some Chargers coming in out of nowhere. The three Chargers fans are now coming into the chat and just trolling. The three Charger fans, I'm joking. One of them being my coach. No, I'm joking. My coach, well, my former coach, I should say. My former coach is a Chargers fan from San Diego, 619. I went to San Diego State. But anyways, it's funny because I don't know too many Chargers fans. Do you guys know how? I don't know, but they are coming into the chat. They want to voice their concerns and let us know how good they are and how they're going to the Super Bowl because they're watching ESPN NFL Countdown, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it right now. Which is fine. It's all about the good vibes only. Hey, Chargers fans, you guys are all welcome here. Hey, good vibes only here in the DOB. Just keep it respectful. It's all good. We can have any fan base in here. Like I said, we have Chiefs fans in here. We have Panthers fans in. It's all good. It's all good. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. Just be respectful. The moment you try to sound off and spit fire, that's where the smoke comes into play. Max Raider 2 says, "What adjustments would you make?" Well, it's kind of that is a good question. So I would defer to Coach McDaniels on this. But look, if it was up to me. Let's start with the offense. With the offense, obviously the run isn't working. I would go more empty set formations to kind of create mismatches, and I would take some shots, not deep, not force feed the ball downfield because it's still a one possession ball game. You're still in it. This is going to be a grind for all 60 minutes or overtime, as we can all attest to because we all saw what happened last year. But I would stick with the run. I really would, because again, what you're trying to do is trying to wear down opposing defenses in the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, you also have to understand that if the run isn't working because John Simpson's getting called for holding penalties, getting pushed off his grass backwards, being bull rushed, and losing his one-on-one battles, now it's going to become a problem where it's not a personnel issue because obviously John Simpson is the best left guard on this football team. Don't get it twisted. So I wouldn't roll in a guy like Dylan Parham right now because it's still early. But what I will see from a schematic standpoint, I would do a lot of empty set formations. I would try to go up tempo. I would try to do something and change things up to where we're kind of putting the pressure now on the defense. But then again, you have to have the offensive line to kind of withstand that, right? Because again, if their strong suit is the power-based run scheme, that means it's going to be a little bit bigger. They're not going to be a lighter. So now conditioning plays a role. So can they sustain a full drive when you're going up tempo like that, when typically they're more of a half-court offense, as I talked about earlier, right? They're not a run and gun type of a football team when it comes to the offensive line. So again, you have to really use the skill sets that you have from the standpoint of the personnel that's on the field. And so, we can talk about the screen game. We talked about the screen game a little bit earlier on live streams and how that should be a focal point of the offense, right? Running a lot of bubble screens, doing some of these things, the quick game, right? The quick hitters, as I'd like to say, because the short intermediate passing game can't open up the run, but that's more of a West Coast style of type of a scheme there that we're talking, because under the great Bill Walsh, that's what he liked to do, right? Even though he had Tom Rathman and Roger Craig all those years, right? A two-back set, whether it be a wing-back formation or power I or whatever the case may be, a lot of those running backs came out of the flats as wide receivers. Let's not get it twisted. So now, even though it looks like a preset two-back set, pre-snap, post-snap, it was basically a spread formation, because you saw Tom Rathman running a wheel route sometimes, or Roger Craig running a wheel route, or someone coming out of flat, or someone coming out, attacking the seam, pulling away that linebacker. So I don't know. And then Jerry Rice comes across the middle, or John Taylor comes across the middle on that shallow dig. All right, so here, nice tackle by John Abram there, but there's a flag on the play. And again, Denzel Perryman. Yes. I would love to be a ref in the NFL. I just don't know the hand signals. All right, and Keenan Allen's limping off the football field, which is not a good sign. Hopefully he's okay. You never want to see players get hurt. And that's one thing that really kind of irritates me, is when players get hurt, especially star players, people start cheering. Like, that's not a good look, dude. Like I don't know. Like, that kind of irritated me. Like people are like cheering, yeah, he's hurt. It's like, dude, that's hella messed up. Like, what if that was you? All right. Raiders 3, Chargers 10. Here we go. And Divine Diablo and Jayon Brown were in coverage there. That was one of their assignments as an underneath defender. And Trey McKitty, I like saying that name, Trey McKitty, I believe this is his second year, Trey McKitty. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but Trey McKitty was a third-round pick. I ran grades on him last year, on the Chargers draft class last year. So I believe he was a second-year player. Almost positive that he came out last year. Trey McKitty. I want to say he's a third or fourth-round pick or something like that. All right, so. Okay. Rock Yassin just got out leveraged there. And again, that's just a one-on-one. That's just one-on-one right there, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see the instant replay. Here we go. This is a good vantage point right here. All right, he's playing with outside leverage. So again, that was just easy. So basically, Rock Yassin was playing with outside leverage, and he just allowed that quick slant to get open. So if I don't know what's being taught there, but again, that's kind of like too easy, because you're not getting a jam at least. But then again, I don't know what I have to watch. I have to watch all 22. But then from that vantage point, it looked a little too easy for me. All right, so here, you got to bring him down. Jonathan Abram. Now again, that's another big play by the Chargers and Justin Herbert, who's just chopping up this Raiders defense left and right, making it look really easy by DeAndre Carter, former San Francisco 49er. DeAndre Carter, and he's getting it done right now. And that's like a George Atkinson tackle. Look at just trying to tear off his head by Jonathan Abram. I like that. Joe Lombardi, here he is, the man behind the scenes, up there in the press box, doing what he does best, scheming things up. He's a very bright coach, by the way. All right, so Nate Hodge being used as an extra box defender, just like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Mike Hilton from the Cincinnati Bengals, and you know it, K'Wan Williams for the Denver Broncos. So I knew that's how they're going to use this slot cornerback role, because typically that's what good defensive coordinators do. Is just because you're lined up in the slot doesn't mean you're going to be covering in the slot. Max Ritter says stay hydrated. You know what? I know I need to stay hydrated. You're right. I'm getting dry mouth right now, talking so much, bro. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Max Ritter too. All right. So, that's a false start. A false start on the left side there. Gerald Everett, who played for the Los Angeles Rams, if I'm not mistaken, Seattle Seahawks. I remember last year's game, correct me if I'm wrong, with the Seattle at Levi Stadium. I think he dropped two touchdowns inside the red zone or near the red zone. Gerald Everett. Guy's been in the NFC West for quite some time, moves to the AFC West. He likes the West Coast, I guess. All right, so here we go. Oh, Jalen Brown tried to, and look at this. You got to bring him down in initial contact. Jesus, there's Gerald Everett fighting for extra yards. All right, so here's a 2-minute warning. 1:58 left to go in halftime. 10-3, Chargers lead. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to wrap this up. Again, I hope you guys liked what I had to say. People were asking for the final score, and like I said, man, like I always keep it 100. If you guys follow me on any other social media outlets, I already posted my predictions for that. But just so you know, I said the Chargers were. Hope I was wrong, obviously, but I thought the Chargers were going to win 27-24, and obviously I would pick the under. So that was my picks coming into it, or my predictions, I should say. I don't have picks, but that's my predictions going into this ball game. Was I thought it was going to be a low-scoring affair. The game is playing out how I see it playing out, so there's nothing new. I thought the offensive line would struggle, and that's simply because not necessarily like I wanted to struggle. I mean, but let's call it how we see it, right? Like let's keep it 100. Like you're going up against a defensive front seven that has Sebastian Joseph Day, that has guys like Jerry Tillery, right? That has guys like Austin Johnson, who we just spoke about earlier from Penn State, coming from that 34 base from the Tennessee Titans and so forth, right? So you have guys who can really eat up space, and then you have edge rushers like a duo like Bosa. And then you have Khalil Mack screaming off the edges with Kenneth Murray there. And just it's very difficult to generate any type of lateral or even like inside runs, because at the end of the day, it's like those guys are just there. They're just big dot. It's just a big sound defense. And when you have Brandon Staley and then you have Ronaldo Hill there, I mean, scheming things up, it makes life really difficult for that offensive line. So it's nothing, like I said, it's nothing that surprises me. Because I said this in earlier Aloha kickoff videos, I broke down the positional units on what to look for. So none of this surprises anyone here in the DOB. I just hope that they can kind of make the second half adjustments or end game adjustments, because at the end of the day, I do think the Raiders can win this ball game. I mean, to be honest with you, if you were to tell me they were down 10-3 with X amount of time going in before halftime, I would be like, I'll take that any day of the week, because this game can be one of those things where it can go any way, right? And so, like I said, like I always keep it 100. I know a lot of the stuff that I've been posting and saying has been positive, but I also keep it fair, right? I will tell you straight up my thoughts, because at the end of the day, that's what you guys count on, right? You guys count on me getting it right, not getting it wrong, not just speaking fluff. Like I'm not just going to say the team's going to go 17-0 when I know they're going to go 0-17, right? Obviously, I'm two extremes there, but you guys get the picture. So it's 3rd-and-1 right now. I'll stay on until halftime. It's just so you can kind of, if you guys have any questions or coming in late and kind of want to have some questions that you want answered, I can go ahead and provide that for you. Max Ritter says, thanks, Beast. No, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I can't tell, right? Because on here, but thank you so much. Mahalo nui for the love. And we're just going to have to see how this goes. And they go for 4th-and-1 and they stop them. Now we are talking. This could be a huge momentum shift for the Las Vegas Raiders. They stop them on 4th-and-1. Brandon Staley showed them no respect. Coach McDaniels is like, you know what? Coach Graham's like, okay, come at me, bro. Iron sharpens iron. Come at me. And they saw Max Crosby make the stop, and he really is getting it done. Watch this play by Max Crosby. He's just kind of plugging up. Max Crosby, you know where he learned that from? LeVar Arrington with the LeVar leap from Penn State. Talking about the Penn State products. LeVar Arrington came out of the draft in 2000. You guys remember him? I believe he came out with a guy by the name of Courtney Brown, the 2 Penn State products. And I remember I made a sign going to Candlestick Park during the time. I was like, all we want for Christmas is Courtney Brown. And I was like, thank God we didn't get Courtney Brown. Good thing we got Julian Peterson. Good thing we doubled down on those gains and also picked up Julian Peterson and Ahmed Plummer. I loved it when Bill Walsh kept on trading. He kept on trading down. It's like, all right, let's go pick up Jason Webster in the 2nd round. All right, let's go get John Engelberger in the 2nd round. All right, now we're on to something. Let's get Giovanni Carmazzi in the 3rd round. out of Hofstra. Damn, I wanted someone else. I didn't like Giovanni. I really did. As a kid, I was like, who? I don't like this guy, Gio. I don't know. But I don't think this guy's going to be good coming out of the school that everyone tries to hype him out to be, which, by the way, the program no longer exists. But I think they had John Milam coming out of that draft. You guys remember John Milam? I think he was a 7th round pick. Who else came out of that draft? I think that was 2000. There was like 10, I think there was like 9, 10 draft picks out of that draft. I think Paul Smith out of UTEP came out of that draft. He was a fullback, conversion running back, and then he also had some number 27, then came back as a return man. Paul Smith, I don't know why I liked Paul Smith, maybe because he was big. Like, he was just like a big dude. I was like, man, that Paul Smith guy can run. He runs hard. Paul Smith, I think he came out of that 2000 draft. I don't know. I know in 99 they got Terry Jackson, who I really liked, coming out of Florida. He was a guy who I really liked. I also like Michael Robinson coming out of college too. But the Niners had some running backs that are just like, I don't know. I just like those running backs. Charlie Garner, Garrison Hurst. Yeah. Raiders had some good running backs too. Napoleon Kaufman. Remember Napoleon Kaufman? He was a good one. But anyways, yeah. All right, that's going to be it. I think actually, no, I'll stay on. I'll stay on until halftime. But Jamie's still in the house. He said, chee-hoo, yeah. Chee-hoo is right. Max Crosby did the Love Our Leap or the Troy Polamalu goal line stand. Awesome. And again, the NFL is a copycat league. Max Crosby just created his own maximum leap with maximum effort. So we can call it the max leap on fourth down. All right, so here is Derek Carr lined up in shotgun formation. And obviously he looked off Renfrow. I think he wanted Renfrow there. He looked him off, and there's John Simpson giving up another sack. So at this point, if you're looking at it, you want to talk about halftime adjustments. Well, John Simpson's just getting pushed back off of a bull rush. Again, Sebastian Joseph Day coming from the LA Rams just bull rushed him back, created him off his grass, got the leverage, and then once Derek Carr tried to climb and evade pressure, climb into that pocket, there was no pocket there. Day just collapses that pocket, up the gap, gets the sack, and here we are today. So at this point, would you want to put Dylan Parham in? I mean, I don't know. Oh, and there's an interception. And that is an interception. Derek Carr force feeds the ball to Darren Waller down the seams. And if I'm looking at this play, again, why would you do that? It's so easy for me to say that. No, I don't know what happened there. I got to look at the play. But obviously there's an interception. And let's see, what kind of coverage is this? Okay, he's just playing the middle of the field. Okay, so the rules of engagement apply. So basically, what Derek Carr saw there, and I can tell by that vantage point, is he thought that 49 was going to squat. He didn't think that that he was going to carry Darren Waller down the seams. That's the rules of engagement there, because again, you don't know what these coaches are being taught. What you do know is there's some type of rules of engagement there. So based on that rule of engagement, my thinking is he was supposed to attack the middle of the field. And if Darren Waller carries and doesn't run a speed out and he runs straight, that's his assignment to take away down that seam and run with Darren Waller down the seam and have that take on. So again, we don't know what the rules of engagement are, but appearing from that coverage zone shell and what he was looking for, and based on this pre to post snap leverage there, I can kind of see why Derek Carr would make that throw, anticipating that Tranquil would not carry Darren Waller down the seam. We have a lot to talk about, but again, the rules of engagement apply. All right, that'll be it for this live stream. I'm going to head out. It's a 10-3 ball game. Hopefully the Raiders can bounce back. There's a lot of football left to be played. Let's give it to Renfrow. Let's give him some targets. Let's let him do some dirty work. If we're going to force feed the ball, let's force feed the ball to Hunter Renfrow, because again, that's a safer play because he's coming in that slot. And more times than not, that's a matchup lined up one-on-one, and you can kind of take away, and he can dictate the leverage because he runs a lot of choice routes based on the pre to post snap leverage that we saw Devonta Adams use earlier on in the game. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you had fun today, because I did on this watch party live stream. And again, if you guys like what I had to say, please drop your comments in the lower right-hand corner of the screen by subscribing to the video and then also dropping your comments in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I had a lot of fun. Mahalo on this happy Fun Day Sunday. Stay tuned for tomorrow's Pick 6 live segment as we keep things hot here in the DOB. Take care, everyone. Have a good day. BEASTwriter out.